Let's go. Perek Yud of the Heilige Tanya. We're going to speak now about the tzaddik. What the Baal Tanya is going to do, he's going to explain the tzaddik, he's going to explain the rasha, and then in Perek Yud Beis, we're going to come to the Beinoni. So we're going to understand first how the tzaddik operates, and then how the rasha operates, and then through that, see what the Beinoni is. V'hine. Kish ha'adam magabir nafshe lekis. When a person actually overcomes his lower self and his godly soul becomes in the position of strength. V'nilcham kol kach im Bahamas. And he fights his animal dark side so much ad shemegarish umevar hara shaba, until he is megarish, he divorces, cuts off, umevar, and obliterates the Ra Shaba that's in him. Mechalal HaSmaili, from the left side of the heart, which we explained was the headquarters of Ra. Kamay Shekosov, like the pasuk says, Ubiyarta hara mikir becha, and you shall banish, you shall destroy the wickedness from amongst your midst. However, ve'ein hara nefach l'toiv mamish, but the Ra has not yet turned into good. Meaning, he banished it. What does it mean by banish? It means he subdued it to such a degree that it does not affect his decisions anymore. So effectively it's been banished. But he still has not converted it into good. So it must be that we're talking about here a tzaddik v'ra, a tzaddik that still has some Ra, but the Ra is totally under his domain. Nikrat tzaddik she'ein gomer. He's called an imperfect tzaddik, which means this tzaddik, the Ra has been completely abolished, but it's still there. The mashal that we always use is it's like the evil king that's been buried deep in the earth. And even though that evil king has no effect on the kingdom above, the kingdom of goodness and gladness and happiness, he's still deep in that pit plotting, ha ha ha, one day I'll get out and destroy them all. But he has no effect on the day-to-day life. It's as if he's not there. But had he fully been abolished, the way that it works is he would become part of the kingdom of good, which we're going to see in a moment. The tzaddik v'raloi. The hainu sheyesh b'yadayim me'at mizer ra b'chalal hasmaili, still has a bit of ra in the chalal hasmaili. Ella, but rather that Ra shekafa for bottle toiv, the Ra is totally subjugated and nullified to the good machnas miyutoi, because it's so small in comparison. The way you could define this would be a person who the Ra is so insignificant and the goodness inside of him is so strong that the Ra's voice is nothing. It's like it's been nullified. It's so insignificant. It has no pull whatsoever. Whatsoever. We've experienced things like this on our own level of when you start really getting going and learning and Torah, that there's no voice in your head that says to not put on tefillin on. It's like it's not even free will anymore. It's so clear to you. It's like the voice that, whereas when a person was maybe beginning, there could have been a voice, better go to the bars and whatever, and someone says, you didn't put on tefillin today, he says, it's... So later on it becomes that there's not even a voice there anymore. Not a havamina. Because it's so bottled, that voice. Yeah, Dan.
It's like asking questions saying why am I putting on tefillin? Can that come from also the Yitzhar and the Yitzhar?
That can be, I want to understand tefillin deeper. If it's a question of I doubt tefillin, or what is all this stuff, then that still would be from the Yitzhar. Doubts and sfeikas, it would be a sign that voice has not been nullified. But if it's come, i.e., that Yitzhar is still pumping inside of a person, the tzaddik v'raloi, there's no voice like that.
Is the Yitzhar to ask questions? Is it Yitzhar to ask questions? Or is it
That's what I meant. If the question was why am I doing all this, in a doubtful way, and that's the Yitzhar. But if it's a question of, what is the deeper meaning of all this? then that's in the neshama. Because I want to go deeper into tefillin. I'm sure Rav Zucker, they're asking every day, what is tefillin? Like, how can I understand it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper? But the question of a suffix, that's a malak. That's Erev Rav. Like, why am I doing this? Or why should I be doing this? At that point, still the Yetzer Hara seeding doubts into the person. So if those voices are still there, okay, don't worry, the Beinoni is also very old. But this is the world of the tzaddik. The tzaddik, that voice is totally nullified. That's why when you see a tzaddik, it's all just such confidence in the avodas Hashem. There's no more doubts anymore. The world of the tzaddik. Like you at Ishmael, you know exactly what he's doing, where he's going, what's happening. That's why you notice by tzaddikim, they always know exactly where they're going. Sometimes I just watch people like walk around. And a guy will like walk here and he's like, no. And like he walks somewhere else and then he's like, oh no, maybe I need a drink. And, oh, I think I'm gonna go to the store buy something. Oh, maybe rebar. Yeah, it's a good idea. And he just like doesn't know where he's. The tzaddik, because this voice like maybe I should do this. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe yes. The tzaddik, it's like they know exactly where they're going because there's no voice that says, yeah, but maybe. It's super clear.
Do you think it's important to have a schedule?
Schedules are very important. Very important, especially for people who are more, in Yiddish we say tzefloigen. Tzefloigen means like, you wake up, let's see what happens. You wander around, like, you know, those types of people that if they're given a day off, by the end of the day or the end of the week, they don't do well usually. They're like, so what'd you do over the last week, over your 3-day break? I don't know, like, can't tell you, like, I don't know, like, even that is doing something. Like I watched, like I looked up, I researched some things. I was like researching some stuff. Like what? I mean, you're scrolling. I just,
You're surfing the internet.
Yeah, those guys, they need structure. Because for them, I know that I learned 2 hours in the morning after Shachris. I feel accomplished. It's clear that I've done something. Okay, then I could have some, maybe it's flogging time if I need it. So because the nature of the tzaddik varalo is that voice has been so nullified, which is what we want. You don't want an evil voice trying to convince you to do stuff. That you've nullified that voice. Therefore, it appears to the tzaddik. It appears to the tzaddik as if the Yetzer Hara has been totally abolished. It appears that way because he's buried deep in the ground. It's like he doesn't have a voice anymore. But he's still there. Aval be'emes. But the truth is, if he fully rid himself of all evil, kol harash boy hayanefach l'toiv mamish, he would have turned his Yetzer Hara into an ally. Because we explained this before, the Yetzer Hara, if you define it, is what we call the koyach hamis'aveh, the power to have taivas. Now, taivas mean a lot of energy, a lot of power to get stuff done. The problem is, in this world, when that power is unleashed, the first thing it sees is the pleasures of this world. So how can I get the latest ice cream flavors, and how can I just eat this thing and do that avera and this thing because it's like just and watch that episode of whatever. But really, it just wants pleasure. So if you can give that taiva a higher level of pleasure, i.e., learning the Tosfos, so then you could really bring him over. That's what we're going for.
And we can have moments of that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you guys have all had moments of that where you were learning something or involved in a mitzvah. Sometimes people get this on Yom Tov or like Purim or Yom Kippur is a classic time where a person says, I'm so high with prayer. I'm in such a state that if someone says, do you want to go get some like hamburgers right now? Or you want to go eat a bagel? So the classic line, what's a bagel? Like,
So you're speaking Chinese to me.
Yeah, you're speaking Chinese to me. I
don't
Pasha don't know what you mean. What's a bagel? I always say over because it was just such a moment. Like, it was Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yom Tov Glazer has a minhag that he would come to the yeshiva for many, many years, Mincha and Ne'ilah. So he would come over to all of us and say, "Okay, Chevra," as Ne'ilah is kicking in, we all like converge on the Aron Kodesh. So sure enough, Ne'ilah is kicking in, and we're like, because then the ark is open for the whole Ne'ilah, so we're like right there. And as Ne'ilah is kicking, we're just going Yud Gimel Midas, and he's like, "Guys, don't worry, wherever you're at, once they start screaming out Hashem, Hashem, Kel Racham, just scream out with it." And at one point, literally we just Hashem, Hashem, and I was Hashem. And one Yid, I looked down to my left, and there's a Yid on the floor this day. He was like on all fours, like not on all fours in the air. I was like, Hashem, Hashem, like literally losing it, screaming out, crying. We're all huddled there. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like, are you?" And Rabbi Yom Tov like, I'm not sure. I was like, "He's okay, brother." Hashem! I want to be like, "Are you okay?" He's gonna eat. That was the moment where I would have said to him, like, "Maybe we should go eat a bagel or something." He's like, "What's a bagel? What's Hashem?" That when you're in that place, now that was an extreme example, but we have moments like that, at least I hope. And even if on a lesser level, we have moments where you're learning something and it's so good, it's so sweet. Usually this happens after a few hours of learning, where it's so good, it's so sweet, that there's no steak dinner that could compare to it. It's so good. There's been times by Tzimar sitting and just the davening is so good, like nothing could compare to that. There's nothing physical that could compare to that sense. That sometimes you hear a beautiful song. There's been moments that singing the Baal Shem Tov's Neged. I remember we sang it was Motzi Purim Leil Shabbos, like this year. And we're singing Leil Shabbos. The Baal Shem Tov's Neged with a bunch of the Chavre, over for Leil Shabbos. And it was so beautiful. It was so, and you realize this song came from the holiest place and the holiest neshama. And there was nothing. Afterwards, we were just in silence for like 10 minutes. Just, oh my goodness, that felt so good. Like we forgot that there was food in front of us, and like there was there was human beings around. We just went to such a place of pleasure. So if you can show your animal soul, which is really just a koyach hamisava, something that's looking for pleasure, there's a higher pleasure, then you could bring him over. That's what it means, bakol levavcha, like we were talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about today. Ubira inyan. In order to explain, let's first talk about a tzaddik gomer, and then we're going to go from that into the tzaddik she'ena gomer. Ubira inyan. Let's explain. Ki hine tzaddik gomer, a perfect tzaddik shenefach hara shaloi l'toiv, that he actually has done it. He changed over the ra to good. L'chein nikrat tzaddik v'toiv lo. Hu al yedei asaras habagodim atzoyim legamrei mehara. How do you actually get there? So interesting. To become a tzaddik v'toiv lo, to become a perfect tzaddik, it's called removing the filthy clothing. Interesting that it's an association with soya. Removing filthy clothing, because just being into taivas of this world, not connected to Hashem, is like waste product. It is so much missing the mark. It's so much the rejected part of existence. Whereas engaging in this world with God is like getting it, right? Soa, or excrement, is the rejected element of what you're trying to get. So, just engaging in this world for its own purpose is literally compared to excrement. It's so much just the rejected part of what we're trying to get. So, the tzaddik v'toivloi gets to that level that he looks at purely engaging in this world just for its own sake, without God. Limois me'oid b'tanugei oilam hazeh, Lisanig bam betanugois b'nei odom lamalois taivas haguf bilvad. He looks at it that he is disgusted. You get to be a tzaddik v'toivla, you get to manage the highest level of tzaddik if when you look at just engaging in this physical world just to pamper yourself without God as disgusting. Intense, right? But when you think about it, why should it be any other way? Isn't everything in this world an opportunity to connect to God? The answer is yes. So the person that engages in that just for his body. By the way, this could even be someone that says, I want to take some health food to just be healthy. Why? If it's for avodas Hashem, then you can turn that into the biggest mitzvah. If it's just to be a fine specimen of human, glory, then the tzaddik v'toivla is disgusted by that. And he does it v'loy la'avodas Hashem. Mipnei hayosim nimshachem v'nishpoy me'aklipos v'sitra achra v'kol mashu m'sitra achra at-tzaddik gomer hu soynoi betachlis asina. Anything which is from the sitra achra, why is it from the other side? Because either everything in this world is bringing me to God, or the other side. Sitra achra, we associate as like Darth Vader, like the dark side. What if the side of a light is God, and everything that's not for God is, the other side? So now, instead of this, I'm going out for a nice salad, organic, a good hefsher, except not for God, just a fres. So if a guy's going out to fres, in the world of convenience and Torah, that's called literally klippa v'sitra achra. I know it sounds intense, but why are we here? If you engage in that in order to be close to friends, avos chaverim, avos Yisrael, making brachas, experiencing Hashem in the food, that becomes the greatest mitzvah. That becomes literally going out for a salad with your friends. It becomes the highest mitzvah.
I feel like you can be rationalizing a lot more.
Okay, so then you have to be careful. It's rational
You
lies.
want to say a bracha?
So again, well, you do want to hang out with your friends. You want to have a good time with them. You want to have a bonding experience with them.
You can say it for anything.
Well, Hashem does say to be close to friends and to eat foods that taste good and to have nice conversations with people and to experience them inside the foods. So he wants that. This is where Hashem says when you learn these svarim, you start to become more real with yourself. What are my true intentions? And a person has to make a cheshbon. What are my true intentions? If he notices that every night he's going out for fancy dinners, and I promise it's just to hang out with friends, even if somebody didn't come out with me tonight, but I just, for whatever reason, I have to keep up my taste buds have to stay refined enough in order that I could talk about it the next day when I do bring my friends. There are rationalizations we can bring. But Hashem wants us to experience him in this world. That's called Klipas Noga. But if it's not with him, the tzaddik despises it. It must. Now, why does he hate it? Because the tzaddik loves God. This is an interesting correlation. Because the tzaddik loves God, he hates anything where God is being pushed away. And the more you love somebody, or God in this case, the more you'll hate that which God hates. So it's really coming out of the love that the tzaddik has for God, that if Hashem says anything which is kind of pushing me away, well, I despise that because I made the world that you could find me. So the tzaddik despises things that are just, even though it's not Darth Vader, it's just fressing on some Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Chalav Yisrael. The tzaddik despises it. Because why are you just fressing out? Why are you hiding God from the world? I just want you to get the angle of the tzaddik here.
Are you talking about he hates it within himself if he did it, or someone else?
He wouldn't do it.
So
He just hates the concept. He doesn't hate the person. Because he hates the player, don't hate
it seems
the
like you're behaving
player.
well, like on
Don't hate the player, hate the game, whatever it is. That one. Is that he doesn't hate this human being. He loves him. He's a yid. He's like, why are you concealing God? He hates the concept of people just fressing And as an example, or not making God part of that moment. He hates that because he loves God. So we have to think to ourselves, how do I feel about it? Oh, let him eat some kosher food. It's all fine. We generally think that. The tzaddik is like, is God totally involved in that moment? So if we have a place in ourselves where we're like okay with that, so then that's not the realm of tzaddik v'toivla. And the world of tzaddik v'rala is he is okay, but the varying degrees of how much he's okay with it is the level of tzaddik v'rala. Let's just see this last couple points. Because Machmas Goydel Avas al Hashem, the Kedushasei, the Avarabba. And why does he have that love for God? The love of God comes because he knows the deepest pleasure. Because he gets the greatest pleasure from connection to God. There's nothing that compares. There's no steaks dinner that could ever compare. Once you know that David Melech says, know my heart that it's connected to you, so I hate the things that are the enemies of you, God. It's because of my love for you. And we know this. When you really love somebody, you despise the things that they hate out of your love for them. It's important. And according to Erech Goydel Ha'av Hashem, according to how much the tzaddik loves Hashem, Kach Erech Goydel Hasina L'Sitra Achra V'Hamiyas Pera B'Tachlis. According to how much you love Hashem will be how much the despising of anything that would conceal Hashem in this world. Ki amiyusu hepech ha'ava mamish kamei hasin. The disgust is the exact opposite of the love, because, literally, like hate. You're disgusted by something, and it's like visceral for the tzaddik. It's horrible that he feels it. It's not just an intellectual thing. Mius means like, it's visceral. Anything that conceals Hashem in the world, so is going against the purpose of creation. And those that are just engaging in that, he has such a mius for it. All because he loves Hashem. And Hashem he's trying to offer humanity the greatest closeness, which is a connection to God at all times. That's the message that we're here to bring to the world, is that humanity can have a connection to God every second of existence. That's why the monotheistic approach is hardcore. It's hardcore stuff. It's God is one. There's nothing but God. Every second of our life, every second of existence is an opportunity to connect to God. There's sheish mitzvahs timidius, constant mitzvahs, constant connection. We should be zeich alamish to this only. Come to Ma'ariv downstairs.
People do a mitzvah and conceal God.
If it's not coming with the right kavanah.
I thought